Bodyweight exercise was the cornerstone habit that helped me overcome a long 5-year period of multiple surgeries, feeling borderline depressed, leading to the amputation of my left leg, which in the end couldn't be avoided. It was a lifeline that helped me get out of a really deep black hole, and it became part of my identity that I swore I would never abandon again. But just like all good habits, no matter how excited and how motivated we start out, no matter how powerful of a positive of an association we might create with them, life always finds a way to disrupt them and squeeze them out of our day. So the moment you think you have a grip on everything, things just suddenly get busier and more stressful. You might start a family, you might start a business, responsibilities keep piling up, workload increases until you reach a point where fitness feels more like a luxury that you no longer have the time, energy, and willpower budget to afford. So what do you do when this happens? Well, a couple of years ago, I found myself in this situation because I was working 12-hour days. The way that I planned my strength training back then was either by squeezing in a workout whenever a client canceled a session, or by postponing it until the end of a brutally exhausting day when training felt like the last thing I wanted to do. The result was that I slowly started to feel an aversion towards working out, and before I knew it, I began skipping more and more sessions. Now, neglecting your health and fitness in these kinds of situations feels like the only choice in that moment, but the truth is that pretty soon it only leads to more stress and less energy. It's really like sailing a ship with a big hole in the bottom. You can ignore the fact that water is slowly flooding the lower decks, just as you might overlook the buildup of underlying stress, which is typical male behavior. But at some point, you will start sinking. So since working less wasn't an option at that point, what I realized was that I had to reevaluate the way I structured my training and my days, and therefore I began to experiment with morning workouts. Now, a lot of people will quickly reject the idea of morning exercise by saying how they're just not a morning person. And, these are the typical people that just make excuses about anything, and, people who don't really want to change, because in reality, no one is actually a morning person. No one in their right mind wakes up excited to work out in the morning from day one, or just not born that way. But if you really want it, you can teach yourself to simply, enjoy the process, just as you can build almost any positive habit. It just takes working on a growth mindset and being courageous enough to step out of your comfort zone, where all real change and transformation always happens. By the way, if you're interested in personal coaching, check out our program for busy dads, the Dad Bod Demolition Project. There's a link below in the top pinned comment where you can learn a lot more about that. Once again, link in the top pinned comments. So long story short, in the beginning, I wasn't crazy about morning exercise either. Just like most people, I felt stiff, I felt clunky. I didn't perform as well as I did in the afternoon. If I overdid it, or if I didn't train, smart and in the right way, I just felt more tired during the rest of the day. Still, after giving some time to my body to adapt, and especially after experimenting with different ways to work around that morning heaviness and the discomfort, and trying out different training volumes and intensities, I simply figured out a way to work out in the morning that not only didn't leave me feeling wrecked, but actually left me feeling energized during the rest of the day. Plus, I also got great results in terms of performance, in terms of body composition, physique-wise. That's when I started also working on my book, The 7 AM Workout Edge. Other things I saw a big difference with were definitely my mood and confidence. These improved to the point that people around me started to notice a difference and began to ask me what I was doing differently. And slowly, through time, my morning routine not only became something that was easy to do, but it actually became my favorite part of the day. And lastly, but not leastly, my morning routine gave me a sense of personal quality time that I was completely lacking at that period. And I would even go to the extent of saying that it also filled a spiritual gap that I felt I had at that point of my life. It kind of became my morning church, if I could use those words, because it really provided me with a sense of purpose, peace, and focus for the rest of the day. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that every morning is magical like that. I still have crappy mornings that I don't feel like training. But if there's one thing that I've experienced so many times that I can't ignore anymore, then it's the following. Whatever struggles you might be going through, either that's during a crappy day, a crappy week, a crappy month, or even a crappy year, if you can manage to wake up and work out first thing in the morning, if you can build that initial momentum, there aren't really a lot of other things you cannot do. Either you're struggling with a breakup, a divorce, financial problems, or even existential problems. Once you get that morning session in, things just start to make more sense. The day becomes brighter because stress dissipates and you can see things from a more clear and different lens. You begin to switch from being mentally paralyzed to positively reframing things and being proactive about your problems. In other words, you switch from a victim mentality to a growth mindset. You can rewire your brain and change how you feel, think, and operate across the rest of your day. And that is why I deeply believe that a morning workout, if you stick to it long enough, has almost magical powers. Keep on training.